Hi. So it was today on June 8th, 2026, where the southern part of the Philippines was affected by a 7.8 magnitude earthquake, absolutely destroying the region. Right now, there's a total count of 35 dead right now, but that's besides the point. Philippines, of course, is a third world country. Every time there's disaster, there's not really too much infrastructure that's used to combat these things, or there's not really much done much ahead of time to, you know, as a react. It's more of a reactive country than a proactive country when it comes to these kind of disasters. Which, of course, is why things like the Philippines Red Cross. You can go to redcross.com. Uh, right now, they are mobilizing Red Cross in the Philippines to have help. Wherever you can do to donate, wherever you're going to do, donate to the cause. Um, I might be a Filipino American, but part of me growing up, I've always like have, yeah, when there's hurricanes and things that happen over there, and there's mudslides, and there are so many people there that like they got to rebuild their lives from nothing. And things like the Red Cross, things like donating to local charities that are going over there, food, clothes, whatever you can do, whatever you can bring, just help. Uh, a lot of people had their lives pretty much ruined by this. If you're wondering where Mindanao is, it's in the south, close to Indonesia, and help out those countries too. There's like a lot going on there. They're still figuring things out, and there's also like typhoon and hurricane warnings after those major earthquakes. But yeah, redcross.com. Go there. There's already a donation links. There's things you can do for that, and I want to thank you for that. So yeah, go ahead and donate.
I got the old school Apple earbuds, and those are one of my go tos because none of the other crap I work. And
Hey man.
the one that has the end I need for this current generation of phone that I have is disappeared. So anyway, if you hear screaming, cussing, me stubbing my toe, desk falling over, that's because it's me. I please pardon me well in advance. But Blair, yeah, I'm sorry to
Oh,
hear that. Is
no,
that
no.
where? How close is that from where your family's from? Is that kind of in the area?
No, that's not where. Well, I do have family in the area. It's not where most of my family lives. Most of my family is located in north. I did call my people just to make sure that everything was okay. Everybody is fine. Everybody's good. For my family, well, for my family in the north side, I'm not so sure about the south side of the Philippines, which is Mindanao. So if people recognize Mindanao, that's where that whole uh, they have the Muslim Liberation Front, and Maute's in Maute, the all that big firefight between the Muslim terrorists and the Philippine National Army. That's where it took place. This is the place where Duterte and the Duterte family came from. It's of course where boxing legend, a guy who was supposed to fight Mayweather, but he's that's not fights that happen anymore. That's where Manny Pacquiao comes from. That's where he represents his constituents of Mindanao. One of the places that they have their own sovereignty in the Philippines. If people want to have like a history lesson on Philippines and religion, originally the Philippines was Muslim before they were ever Christian. And if you look up the stuff about the Philippine American War, and you can hear about the fucked up shit that the American armies did to the Muslims to desecrate their bodies, such as dipping their bayonets in pig's blood before killing uh, the Muslim fighters of the in Mindanao. That's just something. But yeah, man, it's really a difficult situation. If you watch those videos online, it's really a scary situation. You don't really have control on that kind of thing. And 7.8 earthquakes, uh, I don't know. We have
Yeah,
someone
it's
here that actually experienced a disaster like with the Hurricane Maria. What's up, Arturo?
Not much. Like, yeah, I mean, like, it. People don't get like. I think we're making the point, like, BJ was going to make the point about kind of how like how little organization and structure there is for this kind of thing, and how every little bit helps. I mean, like, I was actually kind of thinking about this. Like, the first kind of instance I remember when I was a kid was this thing happened in Puerto Rico called Mameyes, which was a mudslide in the town in Ponce. It was basically like a neighborhood, a barriada, like a barrio, basically that people have kind of like taken the land and like built houses on this land, and the land was not obviously it was invaded territory, so it wasn't like the code. And so there was like this big, massive rainfall over a couple weeks, and basically there was a giant mudslide. Like I forget exactly how many people died. It's a big tragedy, and like, and just like I always remember because my cousin was one of the doctors who was one of the attendants for that, and he'd tell stories about that, like how the horror of that stuff. And I remember like later as I got older, and like Hurricane Georges and that kind of thing would happen, and I would go out with my friends with the civil defenses. A friend who worked one of the municipalities would go out with the civil defenses after hurricanes to help people. Right, you go out and what you're trying to do is before you're trying to get them out of the house because like people who are like living next to a river, there's a lot of river, a lot of infrastructure, and like it just is instead people will build. I'm sure it happens in the Philippines too. People will build in the floodplains. And so like you go there and you can see that like, oh, hey, that bank over there is where the bank is going to flood to, right? You see the river. And if people who are familiar, I used to live in Mexico too, you can walk and see, hey, 50 feet that way, that's where the bank of the river when it floods, right? So if you're there, you're going to get swept away and you're trying to get people out and like also kind of like access and whatnot. Maria was the big one because Maria basically just shut down the island completely. There was no motion, there was no like light, power, internet, whatnot for like weeks. I mean, we basically like living on battery. And like the goodwill of my Jehovah's Witnesses neighbors who had a landline so I could talk to people. And then we eventually like able to find a hotel, and like the hotel was like next to where they were doing the VA, next to the VA hospital, so they had light and power as they were like building everything back up. And eventually we were able to get out. But I mean, I had to move away from the island in Puerto Rico for like a year because like I just couldn't do my job, right? So I ended up leaving to the States because the infrastructure was like just wrecked. And I mean, eventually it came back, but it never came back the same way as it was before, really. And that's really kind of what people don't get about this stuff. Like this kind of disaster is like, I mean, I guess people in the States who live in like tornado towns will kind of get this. But even there, like you have infrastructure around, you can kind of like move. It's not like it's like imagine being on an island where like this kind of thing hits and you can't rebuild. You have to like go. I mean, you can rebuild, but it takes like forever, right? It's rough,
Yeah.
man.
Speaking of that being on an island, like we had the Eaton fires here last year. We always have fires like here in LA County. Like it's hard for me to breathe. I have asthma. A lot of people lost their houses like last year in the Eaton fires. A lot of people like lost families, lost pets. I also bring up the fires in like Maui in 2023 when you're on an island like Arturo said, you can't really go anywhere. And I had losses in that Hawaii wildfire. Like I had an entire family like uncles, aunts, their pets, like they were just trapped in the house and they were gone. And you know, you don't really have to lose people to like have that in your heart, to have like that pain of like, man, this really sucks. And we're talking about places like in America, like like Arturo is from Puerto Rico, uh, and I am, I'm from California, and my family was in Hawaii when those wildfires happened.
Well, I
And
mean,
if you can give
I left.
something to for
I left
disaster
and
relief, you know,
I left, but I got to come back. I mean, like that wasn't the case for a lot of people,
yeah,
and I think that like, like every little bit helps. Just like give a little bit and just help people. And like as I said, like sometimes I said I would go out, give my time, give my money, give what I can in terms to like help, and every little bit helps, man. Just do whatever you can.
yeah, just do what you can, do what you must, and that's how we start off State of Wrestling here. And and yeah, sometimes these things happen, and all you can do is give. And I we'll start with a little bit of roundball. I absolutely watched this game here, where it's another nail. It was like another nail biter right down to the wire, and the Knicks end up losing to the Spurs. What was it? 115, 111.
Yeah, I mean the Knicks didn't
Pretty
play
tight
very
game.
well. Like they didn't play very well at the end, but it was still like it was still very close. They had a shot. I will say
Yeah.
that it is interesting that like who showed up and kind of like the vibe shifted a little bit. No, I mean like I think the
I haven't
series.
heard
I
that
think
much heat in I haven't heard that much heat in MSG since oh man since no damn, I can't even name that other guy.
Roddy Piper.
I gotta go way back. Yeah, I haven't heard that since Roddy Piper. I haven't heard that since since the superstar Billy Graham beat
yeah, I mean
beat
I
Bruno.
do think that probably didn't help that like they priced out the regular fans that night. They should have done a, and it happens occasionally with this kind of event. Like people were saying, like the crowd wasn't a real Knicks crowd, and that happens. You price out the real fans, and then or the regular fans, and then you get a much more staid, less passive, and that counts the like hurts you on the home court. And again, it was a close game, so I think it probably kind of helped. I mean, look at the one thing is like I had an annoying OKC fan in my mention saying like, why haven't you complained about the flopping? I'm like because neither team is doing pratfalls. I mean, there are some, but it's not on the level that OKC kind of does to exploit the ref. There was a bad ref in Tony Brothers, shout out, was the ref in game two, and he was kind of like doing his thing, but and he's trying to like tilt the game to the Spurs. But like, no, this was a fairly neutral crew. My complaint to this game would be that they let too much contact go, which crews will tend to do in the playoffs. I don't like it. There's a particular play where like Wemby should have gotten teed up early, and what generally happens is they let the games get out of hand, and then they step in, and then it leads to like a bit of a sloppy affair when they do. And I much prefer the crew that sorry, when that kind of thing happens, just immediately steps in and just like, hey, like give a couple people text, and that kind of like settles the game down a little bit as opposed to like waiting too long. It wasn't too bad. I mean, like I didn't feel like the game got out of hand. I mean, it got a little bit out of hand, but it didn't get like it can be really bad sometimes. And this was like it was a good game, particularly in the second half.
I love that the power of WWE got the Knicks to lose because very evil, very nice Danhausen was in the crowd, you know, and I'm I I was happy that they lost while he was there. Um, if you're
I
if
couldn't
you're
be
on South Park
happier
LA,
that they lost. And if I'm gonna, if I swear to God, I'm gonna find something on my Twitter and my other social media accounts where I can block any mention of Danhausen from ever crossing my feed. I am
oh
so sick
God.
of this guy. It is just absolutely beyond atrocious and annoying. Just oh my God, this was it was so brutal. You know, I, he's like the worst. He's like Johnny Fairplay on steroids at this point, just in the whole. Uh,
hey, be.
Yeah. By the way, this is
BJ, I got
BJ. I'm
a
back. But yeah, just
BJ, I got a story about Johnny Fairplay. I'm gonna tell you right now. So he used to go to all the PWG shows back in the day, right?
yeah.
And one of you want to talk about a puff pass lineup? Okay, so it's me, Jack Evans, X Pac, Johnny Fairplay, and the guy from what's it called? From the Last Dragon. What's his
Oh,
name?
you mean which guy?
Last
The good guy or the bad guy?
Well, there was a.
not Shonuff, but the main guy.
Yeah, I know who you
What's his
mean.
name?
I know
Oh,
exactly who you
that's
mean.
Oh
Yeah,
God.
Timeout. Because Timeout used to
Timac.
yeah,
Oh,
Timeout. He
that's
used
it.
to
Time
always,
off.
you know, he
Yeah,
was the
he was
second
in
in the
a.
gang to like in indie shows.
He was in a.
That was the blood rotation allegedly. Well, that Timeout wasn't in the blood rotation, but he was like in the area, like in our periphery, just talking. So
Okay.
that was the blood rotation. It was Johnny Fairplay, X Pac, and me and Jack Evans and a couple of my buddies. That was
Good
yo.
lord.
You just brought up Johnny Fairplay, and I was like, oh yeah,
That
spent some
sounds like
time.
that sounds about as random celebrity as a like a Fenway as a Boston Fenway crowd. You know
I'm
when they
assuming. I'm
when they're
So
assuming
playoffs.
he.
sometimes Devin Sawa would always come there too.
Really?
Devin Sawa and Emil Hirsch would come. This was before like this was before Reseda. Like they go to like the Jewish Community Center, and it was off of Rampart.
Emily
Yeah,
Hirsch was a
that was days ago.
huge Hollywood deal. He's in
Yeah, I think yeah, it was right after he did Speed Racer. So
Are you
he
kidding
played
me?
the PWG show. Yeah, no, no, I'm not. Because I remember pointing him out at the show, and he was there, and then I was like, "You're Emil Hirsch?" He's like, "Yeah," and I was, it was a
See, Devin
celebrities
Sawa was
would
more of a
come, but
child
celebrities
actor.
in LA never wanted to dress like celebrities.
Yeah. I was gonna say he did Into the
Yeah,
Wild, Speed Racer,
yeah, and
Lords of
Devin
Dogtown.
Sawa.
He was in a
I
bunch of.
feel like I forgot on my Speed Racer rant. Speed Racer is a movie that basically came out like maybe 6 years too early. It is one of my favorite
It's
films,
one
and
of
it,
the
like
best anime movies of all time.
well, no, it isn't that. It's like a really good. It's a really good racing, like a movie about like car racing. Like if you go in, like yeah, they're the story
Yeah,
about like him and the family being like a car racing family and kind of like the corporate interest and like the actual story of the movie, right, is really fucking good. And like there's silliness, and it's shot really well, and like and it's a movie that like looks really so fucking cool. And I mean, I get kind of why it flopped because it came out in 2008, and I'm like people just weren't prepared. But like when I went to see it, when I actually saw it, I was like, this is a completely different movie than I expected, right? Um, just a really kind of like, but it's a movie that I love. It's one of those movies that if
Yeah,
it's
if
on,
it
I'm gonna
came
fucking
out
watch it.
today, the styling and the way it's filmed and the use of CGI reminds me a lot of like the Masters of the Universe
Yeah,
movie
but
that just came
it's
out.
not bad CGI. It's a movie that looks
It's
like
got its
really
own. Well,
it.
it's by the Wachowski, so
It's Wachowski, yeah.
it's
It's really
really
it's a
CGI.
But like
But
the people who are in that movie are
it's
like
of the time.
I mean, I said like it's really like the story is actually really good. It's a story that
yeah,
I really
I
enjoy,
need to.
and
I haven't watched it in forever. I think also hurt was that it was coming like it was the first film they did after the third Matrix movie, and that that left a
Yeah,
lot of people.
I,
I
I,
mean, that should have been one movie, not two, three. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely it's crazy. Emily Hirsch, wrestling fan. I didn't think of that, but
yeah.
that's. I'll tell you
Emil
what, man.
Hirsch, yeah, he's a wrestling fan. I was like, I was surprised. And then like I do remember. I'm talking about PW. Got celebrities went to PWG besides the ones that we know about. Kieran Culkin would go. I'm not sure if his brother would go because his brother would be way too recognized, but I remember Kieran and the other little brother that was in Scott Pilgrim would go to the shows. Yeah,
Wow. I know Sophia Vergara was
like
there, and so was Joe Mangione,
yeah,
because they were all
we
over TV. Ronda
if my
Rousey was.
wife
Allison Brie was
that
there
was
every
the one
week.
show I brought my wife to.
Oh, I bet you.
Oh,
Oh,
dude,
wow.
Allison
Good timing.
Brie.
She's.
Yeah, my wife would. That was the one show my wife went to after like we went to another show and then the other show we took her to. That's like Rhonda's a friend, right? So like I would go say what's up to her, like I was like, yeah. So these are the girls that they come to the gym. It's Rhonda, it's Marina, and Shayna was there too. So like it's just
You're
saying
friends with
what's up.
Ronda Rousey.
And then, well, I told you, dude, I trained with Rhonda at the gym. So
You
it's
never told
friends
me that
quotation
part. You
mark.
told me you trained at the gym. You didn't tell me you trained with Ronda.
Well, okay, I'm killing the lead here, but Ronda at that time was she's really really nice, but her striking was never ever 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 good. But
Yeah.
yeah, so she's there, and then uh people in front of us, like they're really right in front of us, was Sofia Vergara and Joe Manganiello, and my when my wife pointed him out, I was just like, this is a beautiful man. And that's a beautiful woman. How are we in this? It's just like, how are we in the same like universe right now? And I think Arturo Drew was there too, that same show, and he had that same feel like, wow. And you just see that, and then like it's funny because one of the matches, I think a dude was bleeding a gusher, and the blood got on Sofia Vergara, and she's wearing a white dress. Much like Carlos Colon's wife.
Yeah. I'm sure she was probably into it. I mean, where is Sophia from, actually?
Yeah.
Is she
I think
Lagunera? I was like, she feels
Probably.
Lagunera.
I don't,
No, she's Colombia. Oh, okay,
oh
no,
my
forget it. No,
god.
she's Colombia. She's from
Colombiana.
Barranquilla. No, she was into it. She's from Barranquilla. She's probably perfectly fine with it, man. Yeah.
I know she's was the highest
But
paid actress in TV history for a good chunk of time.
good for her, man. Absolutely.
I mean,
Man.
Parent. What was the show she was in?
That's
Honor and
Modern Family.
yeah, that.
So that's probably somewhere on my wife's like timeline from like God, that's like almost 12 years ago or something like that. But I wrestling in LA is fun. It's fun. Uh,
Yeah.
I do I do want to say this because Arturo, you did put out your model for the World Cup, brother.
I did, and that's done well historically. One of the things that was lost in Maria, actually, like we mentioned Maria, but like my original model was lost. I basically like one of the computers I had died, and it was the only working version. So I had to reconstruct it for 2018. But the 2018 and 2022 and 2022 versions of it were extremely good. I have buddy, same person who tracks my basketball stuff also track that. And so the way people understand like the way it works. This Seth Byrne is a guy who online who kind of like does gambling modeling, and he would as a lark take different models that were published and he would track them through like, oh, I'm going to track this model, see if it's like good or bullshit, right? Sometimes the models were bullshit, and so he started doing my basketball model. Gotta be like more like a decade ago. And I mean, there's been some bad years, but like, I mean, like, again, I kept working on it, and the last, 4 or 5 years, that thing has been like, it's like if it makes a call, I am agreeing with it because it's generally going to be correct. I think the stat was it's 16-8 on underdog series bets, and so people understand that. That means that isn't me betting on the
Holy
favorite. That
shit!
is the model saying, out of like, I'm going to bet. It bet 24 times on the underdog in a series per Vegas, and it won 16 of them. So it knows what the fuck it's doing. And that's when I say when it bets, like there's a mathematical trigger. It says go. And then now the World Cup model it's basically a slightly different thing. I basically simulate out. It's based on there's a tweet I explained it. There's a system it's used for evaluating chess matches and soccer matches. It's called the ELO system. You can use it for other things, but the way it basically ranks teams against each other, and like you get a progressive rank based on how well you play, and then you can use that to map it to goal differential over time, and then you take it and you say, hey, how good or bad is the evaluation, and you can kind of figure out what the standard deviation is, and then figure out what the home court. And that's kind of what I do. Like that's what you do, and you put that in there, and then you run it against the book, and you make bets against that. And I got some friends that are going to do that, and if you want to tail along, I put up a sheet with the kind of that. It's gonna I have a cloud based app that's basically updating the lines every 2 hours, and you can kind of you can tweak it on your own if you like. It is a fairly aggressive model. I tried to like put some safeties in there. Obviously, like only bet what you can lose, boys. But generally, we try to keep it so that like people can like do pretty well. But like, yes, I want to highlight. Please don't bet your house if you can't lose your house, right?
No.
But
No,
yeah, I mean,
please don't. Yeah, obviously, you know, 1-800-betting.com if you have gambling
yes.
problems.
I try to like again.
And then,
I try to.
of course,
I try to be positive. I mean, again, I try to. My general thing when I've been doing this for ages, and I try to say I'm trying to give people good information, so they can go ahead and like and do that. And if they do well, then they can send me a tip along. And if they don't do well, then like stop following. Like I get into these arguments with people like, why are you picking this against the line? I'm like, dude, it's like, here's my track record. If you don't like it, you just move on to the next.
Yeah.
Ah. But yeah, looking
again,
forward
that's
to it. Like I was
gambler.com.
telling Larry before we got on. I was like, oh God, like there's a point of the season where like I got to catch up because of the playoffs, and I was like I'm getting close to getting caught up on all the wrestling. And then I realized that the World Cup starts Thursday, and I was like, oh fudge. And it's like it's 48 teams this year, which means that we're getting like 50% more games on TV every day, which oh my God. So like instead of getting
great.
like oh, it's great, but that means like what time? Like I'm not catching up on wrestling during the day if like there's like 4 games on TV.
So I gotta ask you,
What,
what's
what,
France's chances in this thing, and what's the U.S.'s chances? How do you have them, and can the U.S. actually make a move? Did they have a prayer?
I haven't done futures yet. Here's the thing: like the U.S. has a big home court edge, and the U.S., Canada, and Mexico both have pretty easy paths to advance. But here's the problem: like once you advance, then like you got to go into the knockouts, and then like it depends on where you're gonna play, right? Um, like your draw in the knockouts is where it gets kind of tricky. Like so, if the U.S. somehow got it, like actually I'm gonna check where they're playing the knockouts because I was like this is my next. I got all the matches, but I was gonna like look at the group stage, and the issue is the games. Let's see. Yeah, so the games are still gonna be like Mexico, U.S. and Canada. So like, what if the U.S. basically falls in? So the U.S. is coming out of. Let's go to the U.S. The U.S. is coming out of Group D, right? So out of Group D, if they're coming out of Group D and they win, they're playing Santa Clara right now. Group D, winner Group D is playing Santa Clara. Second place in Group D. Hold on. Winner. Runner-up group.
of course, you can place these bets on Kalshi, on FanDuel, on DraftKings,
Yes.
on Fanatics Markets. You
Okay.
can do all that.
So the U.S. has got pretty protected, like their path. So if they win Group D, their path is Santa Clara, Seattle, which I mean, like Seattle's like the best possible home court for the U.S. ever. If people aren't aware, like the Sounders play there, but like the Sam's Army, which is the traveling. God, why do I know the name of the U.S. men's national team traveling fans? The Sam's Army. Yeah, they're based out of Seattle. They go. So it'd be Santa Clara, Seattle, Inglewood, Arlington, and East Rutherford would be the path for the U.S. if they won Group D. If they finish second in Group D, it'd be Santa Clara. Hold on, no. Runner-up Group D is Arlington, Atlanta, Kansas City. Kansas City. Like putting the quarters in Kansas City is fucking sneaky. Again, like the two best home courts the U.S. can get are probably Seattle and Kansas City, and
Yeah.
then Atlanta for the semi, and then East Rutherford. So yeah, the U.S. unless they finish third, if they finish third, then it could get like if they're one of the third group, then they could get dicey because they could get sent to like Guadalupe is group runner up C. I'm trying to see if like the FIFA protected the U.S. Be kind of a dick thing for them to do, but I think they did. Hold
It
on.
kind of that's not exactly an original thing for them to do with the home country though. But
So third group D, right, would play out of Kansas City. So if they finish third in their group, they're coming out of Kansas City. Then they're going Vancouver. So if they finish third, they would have to go to Canada. They would play Vancouver, and then Kansas City. So they would go Kansas City, Vancouver, Kansas City. The Vancouver game would probably be the most dangerous game they would face. So like
Jesus. I'm
that's the
looking at
U.S.
these prices. I'm looking at these prices at SoFi. The lowest ticket price on StubHub is $936.
For what game?
yeah,
That is for US Paraguay on Friday.
Yeah, if I was gonna go to SoFi, I might say, hey, go to the Iran New Zealand game.
Mm.
Why do I know? Like I've spent too much time staring at the World Cup because I know where everybody's playing. So
I can
fuck it.
tell.
It's like
I actually looked at getting tickets for us because my son's a huge soccer fan. He
so
pretty gets the
so
sport, and
so
just for France versus Iraq, if that's who it turns out to be, it's like in Philly, it's 800 and absolutely at the high edges of the end zones, and then and everything else, it's way over $1,000. I mean, and if it's anything below the top level, it's 4 or 5 grand, and I'm just like, this is. I mean, they're
I mean,
wondering.
I would
It's
tell you to
nuts.
wait a little bit because I mean, like game two or game three are probably gonna be cheaper. Like so, like if you're looking at SoFi, as I said, like hold on, SoFi. Well, Turkey US is not gonna be an easy ticket. So you're looking at Lincoln, right?
Man,
Um, so the match to go in Lincoln, might be Curacao Ivory Coast.
Yeah,
Or oh, actually no, the matchup
I
might be cool. Wait a second. No. I retract that. Ivory Coast, Ecuador sounds like a fucking fun time. Um, like because generally like the African teams travel really well and they're generally like really fun to watch. And
yeah,
Ivory Coast to Ecuador sounds like a fun game in Philly. What else? And here we're giving like
man,
recommendations.
Mexico versus
yeah.
South Africa.
I was hoping to see France because that's my son's favorite teams because of Kylian Mbappe as his favorite player. But
Uh,
Hmm.
okay, so
but so it's like,
if I was gonna give you a guess, so France is playing out of Group I, and they're playing at MetLife and Lincoln, and then at Gillette, which is Norway, France. No, this look like the Iraq game is probably your best bet in terms of cheapness, but uh, Group I winner plays out of East Rutherford, right? And
yeah,
they might get the U.S. They might get France, the U.S. out of East Rutherford June 30th, maybe. And then runner up in that group would be in Arlington, so you wouldn't be able to see that. Um, I
so
do
I'm
need
kind
to.
of lucky they're on the East Coast because it's better than the West Coast. But otherwise, and they screwed the Midwest on this. It's like Cincinnati. There was a lot of other. The only place that got anything was Kansas City. Chicago dropped out. So if you're anywhere outside of the
I
coast,
mean,
it's going to be forever.
I'm not gonna. Okay. So not to be an asshole here, but like, here's the places where they're playing in the U.S. It's Dallas, New Jersey, like, and Atlanta, which are like the big stadiums, and that's the same place where you'd play the big college bowl finals. So, Kansas City, which is like, I mean, if you Kansas City's earned a World Cup like gig, I would say SoFi has earned one. I would say Seattle definitely, or I can't like argue with Seattle getting one. And same with like yeah, they're
So what do you mean by earned one? What were they doing that got them?
but I mean, like the biggest. That's where they play. That's where the U.S. men's national team will if they need a home game with a hot crowd. That's where they're gonna go,
Yeah.
right? So Kansas City
I mean, the U.S. teams played in Ohio a few times and always packed wherever they're at.
yeah,
But
but
I just,
in terms of traveling fans, in terms of loyalty, Ohio probably deserves one, but who do you cut?
I mean, a lot of it comes down to the fact that we don't have a single city in the state. We got that is
Yeah,
willing to jump out and try to grab marquee national events. Cleveland's trying to make a do of it, but they're wanting to do it by,
yeah, they went.
blackmailing the state into buying him a dome stadium.
Yeah, but
But
they basically went to the big bowl stadiums, and then the two home markets for the Sam's Army, which is Seattle and Kansas City. Which I mean, maybe put Mile up, but you can't say put another out of New York because the Red Bulls. I mean, shit, they New York has done when I say that support their soccer team basically the local soccer
yeah.
team like the
I mean, also,
Sounders.
I think another problem with Ohio is we don't have, outside of Columbus, we don't have the international airport linkage because of I mean, we used to, not anymore because of just one, some of our cities a decline in population, but also the airline industry has consolidated so much and shrank. So it's hard to get international fans. If let's say, if you're in Africa, it's a much easier trip to get to Miami than it is to try to get to Columbus. Or I mean, probably not. I don't know. It'd be not. I mean, it would be harder, definitely. But if it was in Cincinnati, it would definitely be a headache. I mean, that's an hour and a half from Columbus, but it hasn't been. I'm more frustrated with the state because it's just we don't put money or anything into stuff like that. And I mean, Columbus is coming around to it. Like when the Olympics come up, they're going to be hosting some of the Olympic Games, which pissed off a few of the Cincinnati people, but they can kiss off. We don't care. But
Yeah, so
but
I'm looking at the biggest in terms of percentage and averages, right? So the biggest is Atlanta and Seattle are the ones who draw the most. Charlotte would be. I'm looking at MLS attendances. I'm looking at Charlotte, San Diego, Nashville, and FC Cincinnati has is the one that But again, I think Revolution is lower, but they also have a smaller stadium. I think.
yeah, their stadium's 30,000 or so. I mean, their
Right.
biggest crowd ever was for a Who concert, and
Right.
they've had a lot of U.S. men's versus Mexico games there. And outside of
Yeah, the
how
one.
what it's like when the men's team
If I was
plays
gonna
Mexico
say
in
a
the
city
States.
got robbed, it might be Portland, right? Portland, I would. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. If I'm gonna go, oh, the city got robbed. I'm gonna go
But
probably
I'm
Portland.
like, if you're hosting a national event, though,
Yeah,
it's just kind of like, okay, let's
yeah.
really lure around better than this. But this is kind of how the entire
I mean,
country's being ran right now. It's like it's blanketly being,
you could argue that they could have done more stadiums, but then that gets to be a pain in the ass for traveling people,
yeah,
right? If you're traveling, you're kind of actually, you know who got really probably got I'd argue DC got screwed probably. It's an argument, but then again, DC was running 250, so okay, so DC didn't get screwed because if you put the World Cup at the same time as the DC stuff, 250 stuff, that was gonna be fucking mess. So okay, pardon me for
yeah.
yeah. I,
I'm sure. I don't think they would have traded the UFC fight for the for the
I
World Cup.
think I think they that is a city that
Oh man, I hope it gets rained out. I'm so happy about that.
Dude, if it
We
if they'll have lightning delays, then what'll happen is they'll still try to have them fight because I don't think anybody with them has any experience with outdoor sports, and that will just be terrible. But I saw Dana White earlier today said that he believes they'll get the same numbers that the Super Bowl got earlier this year, which is insane.
That's crazy.
Um,
Nobody cares about UFC to that level, and it's gonna be on. It's gonna be on Paramount. It's not even gonna. Is it gonna be on
well, I
7
thought they
TV?
might put it on
The
CBS, but I, I'll be honest. I mean, Paramount has what 50, 60 million home subscribers in the U.S. They're just a little bit above Warner Brothers, HBO Max. Um, and the thing is UFC's become drastically less popular even before this fully embrace of the Trump administration, and that's turned off almost all their fans who are who you would say are kind of centrist or just don't want to deal with politics when they're watching fighting or sports
Yeah,
or something.
I'm gonna say something controversial, like maybe Lumen Field, which is the Seattle stadium, may be the best soccer stadium in the U.S. Right?
Yeah.
That thing is beautiful for
The
soccer. It's
crew,
really
the
fucking.
crew, that one's big. Yeah, that one's a nice one. The crew FC, this crew and Cincinnati stadiums are pretty nice, but they're smaller.
Yeah, I was gonna say like that's
The
why
crew
that
stadiums,
stadium.
the Cincinnati stadium is a massive controversy because they basically bulldozed half the west end and then shoved everybody that was living there down into the south end of it. I could write a book about the issues that caused, but and Cincinnati's always had stadium issues. But though, yeah, Seattle's probably got the nicest of them all, and I mean they're closest to what would be, I think Seattle would probably be the closest you'd get to a strong, like pro soccer city, like what you would compare to something in Europe. But a lot of that's because they have a very, it's a lot of that's because the demos there. A lot of it's because you have a lot of, it's a town with a lot of people that's moved there to work, and they bring the sport with them. But yeah, it's gonna. I'm just glad we're gonna have sports on the TV during the daytime. Hopefully, it's like that's my favorite thing about soccer is like I can turn
Yeah,
on
you
the
just
daytime and there's sports on.
you just turn it on. It's going on at all times. Basically, it's
That's the
World
thing I
Cup.
like about EPL and everything else. It's like if there's something to watch, you can turn it on, and it's and like it's like with college softball. Like the big ratings the college softball World Series got. It's just if it's fun to watch, it's decent. The plays get to a good level. People will watch, especially if it's got personalities involved. And NCAA seems to have figured out a lot of things that the WNBA hasn't when it comes to women's sports, and that the women's soccer league hasn't figured out. So maybe they should probably talk to them. Um, but
I think the
anyway, that's
WNBA. I think the WNBA has done a like pretty good job, like in terms of like drawing, in terms of TV, they've done it.
well, not
Obviously,
really.
like
I mean, it's all been Caitlin Clark. I mean, for Caitlin Clark, they wouldn't have a new
well,
TV contract. They wouldn't have
sure.
anything.
I mean, you can argue that for like, I mean, the same thing for like the NBA with like, I mean, Bird and Magic basically like the league. People forget like the NBA did not have a TV deal,
I know. That's what I'm
like so.
saying. Is it's the
Yeah,
exact same situation. It's I mean, they wouldn't even broadcast the finals, and live.
they
They were
play,
tape
they
delayed.
play, they play until
And
the.
it's I'm glad that they're getting the attention. I think the league's handled it disastrously. There's reasons for that, but I mean, it's certainly better than seeing Trump marching around Madison Square Garden. I think
Absolutely.
that was a show of force to let New York know that he could come in and hold up their lives, for 2 hours if he wanted to, and it was a pretty disgusting behavior. But it just,
I mean,
I'm
especially when
sure
he falls asleep as
the
soon as he's
the taxpayers in New York really appreciated that, and you could hear how they welcomed the president with such love during the national anthem.
I'm not sure what was more annoying, Trump or Danhausen. I mean,
it just reminds me of like it just made me
Oh man,
think of the what
oh,
was it? I saw that the whole thing where like they're criticizing the Chinese car company for like being military affiliated. I'm like, do you actually like watch U.S. sports? Which is
it's like
like
it's half
how
U.S.
many
military, it's
Navy,
half Army
Marine?
yeah.
recruiter.
I'm like, dude, come on, man. I mean, please. Let's like it's just like it's the kind of oh they're
Review
military.
the
I think
ground.
yeah they
Well, it's
fucking live in
because
countries.
it's Chinese military would be the spark, and we're kind of in a, you know, we're in an emerging, we're in a,
Yeah, I mean,
I guess that would be the difference. But
No,
at the same
I just
time,
thought
it's like,
I just thought it was like really funny. And like, and then I'm watching the national anthem. Like, why is the national anthem playing at these games? Like, oh, yeah, I mean, come on.
because of
Uh,
tradition. I never understood why I could understand it during certain times. I
Look,
think that
by the way, I'm coming from Puerto Rico. I'm an independence voter, and if I'm in a game, I will generally not stand for the anthem because it's not my anthem, guys. Like if I'm like not,
Hey, yo.
well, no, hey, I mean, I'm just again full respect. I'm not going to
Hey,
disrespect it, but
I'm
I'm
there
just
with
like
you,
not gonna.
man.
I'm just not going to stand for it because I'm not. It's not my thing, right? But again, like I'm not gonna not gonna disrespect it. I'm just saying that like why is it part of the baseball? It's just, I'm
that's what
not
a lot
there.
of people ask. I mean, it's, I think at times it's appropriate. I can understand.
Yeah, I mean
I mean, it's
it's
kind of a
if it's
tradition, I guess, but at the same time, it's like I'm also the kind of person that's like, okay, Colin Kaepernick takes a knee, okay, that's fine. It's his freedom of speech. I
yeah
can go
yeah
on and enjoy my day without,
Yeah.
losing my mind over it, or as Bill Burr says, screaming at the TV, going, my brother was a firefighter. He watched 9/11 on TV, or whatever. Um, but but it's
yep.
just it just I agree
It,
with you. I think it's I can
look,
understand you're an
if it's the
independence voter
Olympic,
definitely after Maria,
I mean, if it's the Olympics, right? It's the Olympics, sure. I mean, play the national anthem. If it's like the World Cup, play the national anthem. Um, no problem with that.
Hey,
If
Arturo,
it's just a random basketball
if
game,
it's an
why?
Open the Dreamcade title match, if it's an Open the Dreamcade title match, all for it. That's
Okay.
because BJ in Dragon Gate they play the national anthem before the world title matches.
really
Uh,
interesting.
let's.
And the
You're
big
gonna. You're
heat
gonna get.
is attacking. The big
Oh,
heat is
yeah.
attacking during the during the national anthem. That's the big heat.
See,
You
like,
don't
yeah,
nobody attacks during the Japanese national anthem,
they should start
but the
playing.
American or the British will
Larry, I'm
attack
fine
during
with
there.
doing that in the U.S., but like for wrestling, but you got to play the new national anthem. You got to play like higher from Creed, right?
The new
Yeah.
national. Oh
Uh-huh.
my god.
You haven't heard the joke about like the it's the most
Can't take me.
oh, the thing is, it's this thing they did this in a study where they said which hit is the hit that was big in the U.S. but nowhere else, or not as big, and it came out that yeah, the higher as the cry from Creed, and then the joke is like yeah, it's the American national anthem, and so yeah, they should play higher before like like say play higher before the AEW title, and the heat is if you interrupt while they're playing higher. Um,
My
so
daughter's really into music. She kind of takes after me, but she did a presentation in history class about the history of rock music, and she
mhm.
did 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Everything was kind of normal. She didn't, of course, a lot of the classmates hadn't heard of the bands because she's really knows their stuff. But then she got to the 90s and she was listening to certain bands, and man, people were angry she didn't mention Creed or Limp Bizkit or
Oh God.
Slipknot or in the early 2000s, and she just was like, "Wait a second, you're trying to tell me that Creed and Limp
People
Bizkit
like
are better, Corn are better than Soundgarden, Nirvana?" And they're like, "Yeah," and she's just like, "Okay, just shut up. I'm sitting
yeah.
down." It's
Yeah,
like,
she listens.
no.
By the way, has she listened to Pet Sounds? She's got to listen to Pet Sounds.
Oh, of course, she's got the
Yes.
album. I'm pretty sure she's got a few Beach Boys albums, but Pet Sounds is the the opus of the brilliant mind of Brian Wilson. Yes.
Yes, the late Brian Wilson. That's an album. It's like I remember, like when I was a kid, I did not appreciate the Beach Boys, and then I listened to it again. Like I got back into it, and I had listened to it when I was a kid. Like I listened back to it like maybe a decade ago, and I was like, "Holy shit!" Right? It's the same thing
Oh
that I
yeah.
tell my dad. It's like when I tell my dad like my favorite Beatle is George Harrison now, and I'm like, he's like, "Yeah, yeah," because George is kind of the one that like when you listen to his shit as you get older, you're like, "Oh, okay." It's
Yeah.
the same. Yeah, it's like you understand these layers that you didn't understand before, and we're kind of like all over the place today. Uh, so let me bring it back. I'm going to bring it back a little bit to wrestling, right? So BJ, right?
Before you go there, has your daughter listened to the Dog album by Alice in Chains?
Yes.
Okay, good.
That was one of the first
Uncle Mike,
albums
I
I bought
got
with
you.
my own money. By
You're
the
talking
way,
about you're talking about
Uncle
you're
Mike,
talking about you're talking about the self-titled album. It's got a
Yeah,
gin
yeah,
on
yeah.
it.
No, no. Yeah,
That's the one with the dog on the cover.
I got
And
you,
it's a
Uncle.
three-legged dog.
Yeah,
They were going to call it tripod instead they just
we
called
got
it
we
house.
got
You shouting out to your uncle, man?
we got real. Yeah, man. We got real music here.
Yeah, your uncle's not Mike Inez, right?
Got you.
As I said, one of the first albums I bought with my own money.
Yes, it is.
Great album. Great album.
It is what it is, and yeah, guys, I think we talked about everything here. Uh, I want to thank both of you for coming on here, and I'll probably split this up into two things. So I just want to say, enjoy our Roundball Rock opening of this episode. Enjoy all of that stuff because we talked about everything on here, and might as well make the content work it. So BJ, where can people find you?
You can find me on my Substack at bjbethel.substack.com. You can also read me at SE Scoops. I'm also popping up in a few other places, Clear Kentucky, and also, God, I can't remember all the places I'm writing right now. But if you go to my Twitter, BJ Bethel Tweets, yeah, hopefully you can find it on there. But thank you, Larry and Arturo.
Also, he came back with Ruben J for a couple of shows. You know, I do love that Ruben is a is a staunch conservative. So we've been having our back and forth online, and I never push away a discussion. So Ruben, don't be scared, homie. But anyway, uh, Arturo, where can people get you at Twitter so that they can find these models that you got, man?
American Numbers on Twitter, and we also put anytime we do something, we'll put up there, and you can find me as well. So hopefully we'll keep talking, and hopefully this was a good combo for everyone. I thought it was like interesting. Went places today.
Yeah. Went places, man. So many places. Again, as we said at the top of the show, redcross.com. Donate right now. It's such a big disaster in the Philippines, but there's so many other disasters out there that you could donate to. I always say donate blood, donate whatever you can because you never know what could save someone's life or can make a difference. So go ahead and do that. And as I say all the time, thank you, bless you, see you next time.
Get him in the bed sheets.